you believe you know yourself. After all, who could possibly know you better? You have been there for every moment of your life, every private thought, every choice, every fear you never said out loud. And yet Carl Jung said something that should unsettle anyone who has ever felt certain about who they are. The person you call myself is mostly an edited version, a careful summary, a highlight reel with the difficult parts quietly cut out. And the parts left out of that summary do not disappear. They become the very thing that runs you from behind, where you cannot see. There is a name for everything you have left out. Jung called it the shadow, and his claim was radical, almost offensive to the ego. You cannot truly know yourself until you have met it. In the next several minutes, I want to show you why the self you think you are is incomplete. Why ordinary self-reflection quietly fails, and what actually begins to change the day you stop looking away. This one goes somewhere uncomfortable. Stay with me anyway. Let's start with the version of you that you already know. From the time we are very small, we begin building an image of ourselves. I am kind. I am rational. I am not the kind of person who would ever do that. We curate this image the way you might curate a profile. We keep the parts that fit and quietly delete the parts that don't. Jung had a precise word for this polished public self. He called it the persona, the mask we wear to meet the world. And there is nothing wrong with having one. You need it to function, to work, to belong. The danger begins only when we forget it is a mask and start mistaking it for the whole truth of who we are. And the longer we wear a mask, the more convincing it becomes to other people, and most of all to ourselves. By the middle of life, many people have worn theirs so long and so well that they would swear under oath it was simply their own face. Picture a woman who has always thought of herself as endlessly patient. It is central to who she believes she is, the trait her friends praise, the one she is quietly proud of. Then, one ordinary evening, worn down and depleted, she says something so cold, so precisely cruel to someone she loves, that she can barely sleep afterward. And what keeps her awake is not only the harm she caused, it is the question underneath it. Where did that come from? That isn't me, she thinks again and again. But it was her. It was simply the part of her that the image had no room for, the part that had been waiting, unacknowledged, for years. Here is why this matters for you right now. Every important decision you make, who you love, what work you tolerate, what you chase, and what you quietly avoid, is made by your whole self, not the edited one. And if half of you remains hidden even from you, then half of your life is being decided in the dark by someone you have never properly met. So the answer seems obvious. Look inward, reflect, know thyself. That command is ancient. It was carved above the entrance to the temple at Delphi thousands of years ago. Know thyself. Two words that sound simple and turn out to be the work of a lifetime. But here's the trap almost everyone falls into. The shadow is, by its very definition, the part of you that you cannot see in yourself. So when you sit quietly and try to examine your own mind, you are using the very instrument that did the hiding to try to find what it hid. It is like searching a dark room with a flashlight that only ever points where you already expect to look. The corners stay dark precisely because you never aimed the light there. Ask yourself something honestly. When was the last time your private reflection led you to a conclusion you genuinely did not want to reach? For most of us, reflection arrives with remarkable reliability at conclusions that leave our self-image comfortably intact. That is not insight. That is the shadow guarding its own door. This is why a person can read every book on psychology, journal faithfully every morning for a decade, attend every workshop, and still arrive at 40 repeating the exact pattern they began at 20. Insight alone does not do it. Jung saw this constantly. Intelligent, articulate, genuinely self-aware people who could describe their own psychology beautifully and remained completely blind to the one thing everyone close to them could see. Jung named the danger directly. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Read that carefully. The more certain you are that you simply do not have a darker side, the more power that side quietly holds over you. The denial is the fuel. Why this matters now. If your only method for knowing yourself is thinking harder about yourself, you will keep circling the exact thing you most need to see and calling the circling growth. So if quiet reflection alone cannot reach it, how do you meet a part of yourself you are built not to see? Jung's answer is almost a paradox. You do not find the shadow by staring directly at it. You find it by its footprints, the traces it leaves across your ordinary day. It leaves footprints in what you judge, the flaw that disgusts you in other people, far out of proportion to the actual offense, is very often your own disowned material reflected back from a safe distance. It leaves footprints in what you secretly envy, in what makes you ashamed, in the dreams you would never describe to anyone, in every "that isn't me" moment you've ever had. Each one is a door, and almost all of us, almost all the time, choose to slam it shut rather than walk through. Consider a man who keeps ending up in the same argument in every relationship. In his version of the story, he is always the calm one, the reasonable one. He just keeps unluckily choosing partners who are too emotional, too much. It takes him years and the same heartbreak in nearly the same shape 3 separate times before he finally asks a different question. Not, why do I keep meeting these people? But what in me keeps choosing this and keeps needing to be the reasonable, superior one? The moment that question turns inward is the moment he begins, for the first time, to actually know himself. Or consider how the shadow speaks in dreams. A woman who prides herself on her unshakable composure keeps dreaming, night after night, of a wild, furious figure she cannot quiet. For a long time it only frightens her. And then, slowly, she understands. The figure is her. It carries the vitality, the anger, the raw aliveness she has spent a lifetime ironing flat into politeness. Jung treated dreams as some of the clearest footprints of all, letters from the part of us that never learned how to lie. Jung said it cleanly, and it has never stopped being true. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. The footprints all point the same direction, inward. Why this matters now. The people and patterns that frustrate you most are not only obstacles in your way, they are information about you, delivered to your door, free of charge, if you're willing to read them instead of resenting them. If the doorway is right there, in plain sight, why does almost no one walk through it? Because meeting your shadow is not flattering. It is the opposite of flattering. It means admitting the cruelty you are capable of, the envy you pretend, even to yourself, that you do not feel, the smallness and the spite that live right alongside everything genuinely good in you. It is far more comfortable to keep the clean image polished and quietly pay the price somewhere else. Jung was unflinchingly honest about how hard this is. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Notice what he did not say. He did not say, improve yourself or fix yourself. He said, accept. To look at the entire truth of what you are, the gold and the dark together, without turning away. And there is a real cost to refusing. The parts you will not face do not wait politely in the basement. They leak out. As the temper you couldn't help. The self-sabotage the night before the thing that mattered. The relationship that fails in the same shape again and again, while you swear this time was different. You remain, in the deepest sense, a stranger to yourself, startled over and over by your own life, as though it were happening to someone else. You can see it in the person who cannot understand why every job ends the same way, why every friendship slowly cools, why every opportunity slips through their fingers at the last moment, never once suspecting that the single common factor present in every scene is the one person they have never honestly examined. And Jung did not teach this from a safe distance. After his painful break with Freud, his own life came apart, and he descended for years into his own depths, recording what he found in the private journal, later known as the Red Book. He went to meet his own darkness on purpose, and it was only because he had walked that descent himself that he could ever hand anyone else a map. Why this matters now, the discomfort you avoid by never looking is small, dull, and endless, a low ache that quietly shapes everything. The discomfort of looking is sharp and real, but it is the only one of the two that actually leads somewhere. So what does it actually look like in a real life to meet your shadow and finally begin to know yourself? It is almost never one dramatic revelation. It is a relationship, a slow, patient, ongoing honesty with the parts of you that you were taught long ago to hide. It looks like catching yourself mid-judgment and asking, quietly, what it might be mirroring. It looks like letting a shameful feeling stay in the room long enough to learn its actual name instead of rushing to cover it. It looks like noticing the gap between the person you perform and the person you actually are when no one is watching, and closing that gap just a little on the side of the truth. Jung believed this was not merely self-improvement. He believed it was the central work of a human life, the slow movement toward becoming whole, which he called individuation. And here's the part almost no one expects. The result is not a darker, more cynical person. It is a freer one. When you no longer have to burn energy hiding half of yourself from yourself, something in you finally unclenches. You become steadier. Harder to manipulate, too, because your weak spots are no longer secret even from you, and a thing you can see can no longer ambush you from behind. As Jung wrote, knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. So start small and start exactly where you are. The next time you hear yourself think, I would never, pause and ask gently but honestly, are you sure? The next time another person's flaw fills you with a heat that seems far too big for the moment, ask what it has to do with you. Keep one private page for the thoughts you would never say aloud. You are not collecting evidence against yourself. You are, at long last, being introduced to the person you have lived inside of this entire time. Why this matters now. You are going to spend every remaining day of your life in your own company. It is probably worth actually knowing who that is. So here's the question to sit with tonight. When the day finally goes quiet, what is the one thing about yourself that you are quite sure is not true? That you have somehow never once allowed yourself to honestly examine? That small flicker of hesitation you just felt, that reluctance to even look in that direction, that is the doorway. That is exactly where the shadow lives. Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if this met you at the right moment, subscribe and stay close. In the next video, we go one step further into the shadow, into what we quietly do to the people around us when we refuse to see it in ourselves, and how to finally stop. Until then, be honest with the one who lives underneath.